The dramatization you're about to see is based on an actual, investigated, and documented case history of psychic phenomena. It is the next step beyond.
Put it down over there, will you please, Cathy? And draw the drapes behind you. Thank you.
I'm afraid I'm kind of new at this,
I have no objection to the term mumbo-jumbo, Mrs. Watson. However, I am not one of those old-fashioned humbugs who entertained her sitters with ectoplasm, floating horns, or ancient Indian chiefs. Cathy, if you have a tape recorder, you might like to record our sitting. Many of my clients do.
Oh, yes, I would, Mrs. Reba. Thank you. I'll just get it.
I don't know how familiar you are with the disappearance of Cathy's husband, George, on the archaeological expedition in Venezuela.
I know that only the bodies of the other 3 men were recovered.
Missing and presumed dead. Not knowing the fate of a loved one can be far more difficult to bear than the certain knowledge of his death. It's been 3 very long years since Cathy LeMasters received those chilling words about her beloved husband, George. She is still unable to accept the presumption of his death. And so the normally level-headed and very down-to-earth Cathy is, in desperation, trying to reach George or to discover some definitive answer as to what happened to him with the seance. Is George gone, or is he still alive somewhere in the depths of the Venezuela jungle? The answer to that question will prove to be a shock and an incredible surprise far beyond the expectations of Cathy or the medium.
See the sky. I can't hear the roar. Green mist.
I told them to stay away from the falls. There was so much mist. Like sailing through a green cloud.
Who are you?
My name is Terry Canfield.
He was one of the 3 men with George.
Where are you?
George LeMasters.
Are you a friend of George LeMasters?
George LeMasters.
George LeMasters. They were too close to the falls.
All right, let's have it.
Let's have it.
Are you going to give me that paper, or do I call a bunco squad?
Get out of here.
Move it!
Bill, what are you doing here?
Darling, Mrs. Reva's a fraud. The ghost voice you heard coming from her earrings and various other speakers is her assistant. Now, the private detective I hired has just put him out of business.
This is not the last you'll hear from me.
Are you going to prefer charges?
I am not.
I think I'd better be running on.
Joan, I'm sorry. This is my house, and those were my guests.
Yes, one of whom is a fake.
If I want to be taken in, that's my privilege. I just wish you'd stop running my life.
In case you've forgotten, I love you. I've asked you to marry me.
And in case you've forgotten, I haven't given you my answer yet.
I'm aware of that.
I'm sorry, Bill. Mrs. Reba may be a little theatrical, but she told me things that no one could have known who wasn't in touch with somebody on that expedition. That they were looking for gold as well as artifacts, for example.
Look, she doesn't know anything that good research couldn't uncover. I have proof they interviewed several local archaeologists. And the only reason they chose Terry Canfield's spirit is he's the only member of the expedition whose voice you've never heard.
There are honest mediums.
Did you believe that before George died?
Disappeared.
Did you?
I don't know. I never really thought about it.
Exactly. So, do you think George would like you doing this? Keeping the house exactly the way he left it? Living in the past? Still wearing his wedding ring?
Bill, I've got to know. I can't make a new life for myself until I do. If they found his body, even if a medium contacted his ghost, then I'd know for sure he was dead.
This isn't fair to me. For the past year and a half, I've been competing with a ghost. I mean, that's a fight I know I can't win.
I know. But I told you how it was with me the first time we met, Bill.
I just thought you'd get over it. Listen. I love you, Cathy. I can't change that even if I want to. So, if you ever need me for anything, I'm always gonna be there. But I can't share you with a ghost. So, if you ever decide to take off that wedding ring, I'll be waiting.
It's almost dark. I'm sitting on the sagging porch of our shack beside a green jungle stream. This morning we crossed it on a swinging rope bridge. Reminded me of the neat little bridge across the clear stream in the park near our house, where you said yes. I'd memorized my silly little speech and stumbled through it to the bitter end. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't be ashamed to borrow somebody else's words. From Heathcliff and Wuthering Heights. Cathy, my heart's darling, he said. Cathy, my heart's darling, I love you.
Hi, Miss LeMasters. You remember me? I was in your third period class a couple years ago.
Oh, yes, of course.
Right.
I'm glad it was you. I couldn't think what might be wandering about at this time of night.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. But, you know, you shouldn't be walking around the park like this at night. By yourself, I mean.
Well, I don't usually.
Hey, about your husband. I mean, being lost and all. That was a bad break for you. I was sorry to hear it.
Thank you. Elton, were you standing on the bridge back there a little while ago?
I haven't been near there tonight.
I see. Well, what have you been doing since you left school? I was sorry you dropped out.
Well, you know, a lot of people give me a bad time. Even you, Miss LeMasters.
I'm sure it seemed that way to you, Elton. I'm sure you could have been a very good student if you'd applied yourself.
I've been applying myself since I dropped out. You go to that bridge a lot back there, don't you?
How do you know that?
Well, this park's kind of my turf, you know. You can't help noticing people, what they do. Like, you live in that brown house right across from the park. And you go back to that bridge about a couple times a week. Your boyfriend's, architect. Sometimes you bring a blanket and read. One day you brought one of those, tape recorders. You know, you should be more careful, Miss LeMasters. Back at school, you were the foxiest teacher. I wasn't the only one who thought like that either.
I didn't realize what time it is. I'm expecting some people in and I have to go.
Sure, Miss LeMasters. It's been like a class reunion, huh? Class of nothing.
It's been really nice talking to you, Elton. Good night.
Say, why not take a shortcut to the east gate? It's open.
Shortcut?
Right out that way. Want me to walk you?
No, thank you. That won't be necessary. Good night, Elton.
Good night, Miss LeMasters. I run up to tell you I forgot the gate was locked. But you know that already, don't you, Miss LeMasters? You want to sit down, Miss LeMasters?
No, I'd rather not.
That's what you used to tell me in school, remember? I didn't always sit down either. That's a nice bag. But you shouldn't bring it into the park like this at night. There's been a lot of muggings. Why, a girl got killed a couple weeks ago. You read about that? Stabbed.
If you think I'm enjoying this game you're playing, you're wrong. Now, I'm going back the way I came, and I want you to leave me alone.
If I was you, I'd run, Miss LeMasters.
won't take it and leave me alone!
Snyder here. She was attacked a few days ago in the same park. Now, I want you to sit back here so as you don't influence her identification. All I want from you is a confirmation since you already know the suspect. Send him in. Miss Snyder, I want you to study these men carefully. If you see the man, point him out to me.
Well, that's him. That's the freak. The one in the green and black striped shirt. I'll never forget that greasy smile as long as I live. That and that crummy knife of his. I know what I'd like to do with that knife.
Snyder, thank you. That's all we need. Thank you. You wait a few minutes, we'll get your statement. You seen you went in the park last night with Mrs. LeMasters? Sit down.
No way.
Miss Snyder scratched her attacker last week. The doctor tells me you have healing scalp wounds. According to the lab, the flesh and hair found under her fingernails match yours exactly.
Look, I'm telling you, I haven't been in the park for over a month. Period.
Then do you mind telling me why there's fingerprints all over Mrs. LeMasters' shoulder bag? You want to change your story, Elton?
All right, I was there. But she's telling it backwards. She called me and asked me to meet her there.
That's not true.
She made all the passes at me, just to set me up with that big blonde guy. He was about 6'2".
What blonde guy?
Her partner in the suntans and boots. He was standing right by the bridge.
You never mentioned another man.
Sure, that's him. That's the guy. What did I tell you?
That's a picture of my husband. He was lost 3 years ago in Venezuela.
You mean he's dead, Mrs. LeMasters? Mrs. LeMasters?
Yes. Yes, my husband is dead.
George always bought the same kind of boots the whole time I knew him. I know they would fit. There is no doubt about that in my mind. But why aren't there any other footprints coming or going from here?
I don't understand any of this. All I know is that I believe George helped you.
Did George LeMasters' ghost really appear on that bridge to save Cathy, releasing her to live a full life again? Or was it indeed her desperate need that caused her to project his image into Elton's mind? But then, how in the world does one project an image into another's mind? And what about the footprints of the Jungle Boots? A great many questions. The definitive answers will have to wait until the rapidly growing science of parapsychology has completed its investigation of this particular phenomena, which is unquestionably part of the next step beyond.